And we are Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum, and we're going to try this live stream again, and hopefully all goes well. It's kind of late in the evening, but hey, no worries, right? Project Spirit and I just sitting here chilling at home while we're waiting for Princess Faye to arrive later on. So let's talk about the old girl. A lot of you, and I think it's kind of fitting because it's late at night and she's right here. It's Saturday night. In the old days when I used to kind of get around doing the old street racing stuff, this would have been perfect for me to go out and make trouble. Times have changed, and I guess I have changed. So I'm not out going to make trouble, but I'm still going to enjoy the old girl. Um, yeah, I still like going out cruising with Princess Faye, but we're going to go ahead. I'm going to hook up the power. Normally, uh, because of some of the issues with the old girl, I do have this thing where I have to unplug her battery because she has a tendency to drain it. There's a short in her ignition switch. And unfortunately, you really can't see it all super well, but there's her old original inline six. Um, and we'll talk about this possibly in a future live stream. We'll go into a great deal of extensive detail on her inline six. Um, we're talking this engine has been around since 1974. If you go back at some of my earlier videos, I show you where to find that on her, where to get, the month and year that she was built. She was built in November of 1974. So technically this November she'll be 44 years old. She's getting old on us. And she's been a great asset to the Prince Magnum channel. A lot of times I often say that Project Spirit is the car that built the Prince Magnum channel, not the other way around. That's just, one of them things. But someone asked me if I would, give, kind of a, would I fire her up? Now, she's not run all day, and I wanted to do that earlier today. Like I said, things went sideways, and I was unable to fire her up, and the live stream just fell through, so I really couldn't do what I wanted to do. But hey, these things happen. It's late in the evening, and like I said, she hasn't run pretty much since this morning. I took her out for a little while, but hey, now's a great time. I got the power hooked up. Check out those stripes. That really sets off that hood. And here, real quick, I'm going to step back. And again, even despite the lighting being low, you can still see that dual pinstripe that Princess Faye did right down the side of the old girl. And it really kind of makes you forget that she's a little banged up, beat up, and things like that. So what we're going to do in this particular live stream is I'm going to fire the old girl up, and as soon as I remember to plug her up, hey, no making fun of me now. I'm old. I forget things. There we go. There we go. Got to make sure with these old battery terminals, you got to make sure that they're on there good and tight. Just one of them things. Neighbors are just coming in. And there we go. We have power. Now, amazingly enough, this actually still works. And it's a nuisance. It drives me absolutely bonkers. Now, because she doesn't have her, one of the things on the list to fix. We'll go ahead and close the door and roll down the window so you all can hear the old girl fire up. Now, she's in neutral, and I'll go ahead and turn it. No touching the gas, no pumping. And I let her take over herself. There we go. Proving that the old girl still got it. She does need plugs, so she runs a little rough right now. But as you can hear, don't know how well you can hear. There you go. There you go. The old girl still got it, huh? And you can see how well, there you go. Not super well, but we are above that 80 marker. Now that'll be, when this thing turns over again, it'll be the third time in her life that the original engine has turned over. So that's pretty awesome, folks. You know, not bad for a car her age. You know, again, you know, Project Spirit, we're going to go, you know, I don't want to do it completely like this because it's a little hard for you all to see, but you heard her run. And if you missed it, just watch it in the playback. I mean, we did it. Project Spirit doing a cold start. Yeah, it's humid and all that other stuff. And, you know, 300,000 miles on any car is not a joke, even this day and age. Most vehicles today just don't quite last as long as they used to. So there you have that. Again, we'll come out and we'll do kind of a walk around. I've decided that tomorrow we're gonna do a walk around of both cars, but Project Spirit really being the star of the show, I figured it might be to our advantage if you know, she kind of gets her own little segment, and then Project Lena will do like a comparison, and it'll be interesting. So that's kind of my plan. Hopefully I can get Princess Faye up early enough tomorrow. But we're gonna go ahead and shut the old girl's hood. I've just disconnected the power. We're gonna go upstairs, and we're gonna talk about some of the things that you're going to see coming up soon with Project Spirit. Okay. Again, I mean, it's low lit out here, and I mean, just imagine, if you will, you kind of stand back, and she's like, bam, here I am, a beautiful 1970s, you know, car. And, you know, despite the fact that she's four-door, I mean, yeah, two-door might be cooler, but doggone it. She, you know, she makes you forget that she is a four-door. She actually looks so doggone pretty, you know. So let's go upstairs. I'm going to go ahead and really quick change over because the apartment is a disaster, and we're going to flip the camera around. And if you've got any questions, again, we're going to go back through. Just watch the playback, and you can watch her run, and, you know, we'll talk more about it later. But right now, we're going to go upstairs and talk about some of the things that Project Spirit has done. So let's flip the camera around on me, and ta-da, there I am. Awesome. Glad you all, you know. We're going to go upstairs, and I half expect that Princess Faye will be joining us. She'll probably be calling soon, and I'm hoping to get a few people on this live stream. But we did a brief walk around of the old girl and that sort of thing. We're going to come into the bedroom. Well, my office. It was supposed to be for my son, but we'll talk about that in an up and coming episode of In Your Face when we start really going after Missouri again. But anyhow, Project Spirit's keys. We're going to talk about, you know, we're really going to dispel some myths today. Again, I really should have counted this as performance not included, but, you know, it got so dark on me in a hurry. I initially I tried to do a walk around earlier, but the phone that we have is a great big giant piece of puppy poo. And so we you know, we did the walk around, and again, Project Spirit, she's getting ready to go through some changes. I had to postpone placing the order. Literally, I kid you not, what happened was I went to, you know, I put some money. I actually have a business, an ATM card that's specifically for business here on the Prince Magnum channel. And I placed an order for Well, I went over to put the money on this card and place an order for the new spindles. And right behind me is almost the entire front disc brake conversion kit. And most of the parts actually came from Deloge AutoZone, believe it or not. You'd be surprised. I think it was a couple of them that came from Farmington AutoZone, and then there's like a couple of parts that came from like O'Reilly's, uh, Farmington O'Reilly's to be precise. And in a nutshell, the pretty much everything, just about all you see, a lot of the big boxes. I know right over here is where the rotors are, and I actually showed those parts in a video not too well. It was actually, when I first started amassing the parts, and we're pretty well ready other than the spindles. Well, I went to go put the money on the card, and a buddy of mine got something happened with his truck. My buddy T-Bone, he's working on a 97 GMC Jimmy. From time to time I got to remind myself that he's got a GMC Jimmy, one of the not one of the big full size ones like I know him and I actually like out of like the 70s and 80s. But what ended up happening was he his um, his distributor cap cracked, and he's got the Vortec 4.3 liter V6, and all of his money was gone on bills, so I couldn't leave him stranded. He'd already been at work for like several hours. We worked together and everything. So I went over and I had to spend the money and postpone ordering off for the spindles. But hey, Project Spirits lasted this long. We can squeeze out another week if need be. And we've got Project Lena, so I can use her a little bit to kind of fill in the gaps, I guess you could say. It's starting to get hard on Project Spirit. You could start hearing that one hub that's starting to make a nice little growling noise, which is why I wanted to do like, turn on the live stream and then maybe do something stupid, but not with that hub right now. I've got to take care of the old girl because if that hub gives, the whole the wheel, the the drum brakes and the brake assembly inside the drum and all of that will pull past the spindle and past that nut holding everything on and just take everything off and it'll go off, like that direction. And I'll be driving here and it'll go off like that direction. And that means that I'm only riding on three wheels. And there's a particular car that people kind of talk about that it goes bad if you try to cut the corner real hard. Well, it looks something like that, but only we don't want that. So for that reason alone, um, I have decided that the best thing to do is just take it easy on the old girl. Uh, just like I can't be replaced, Project Spirit really can't be replaced. So let's not push the issue. Y'all are just going to have to wait before that's just the way it's going to be. Now, I know some people are going to ask the question, she's manual brake, she's got the front drums and we're going to be changing that over to disc. Um, Number one, I know some of you are asking, well, Prince Magnum, why are you going to disc brakes? You've ran it this long. It's a good system. Why would you want to change? And some of you might be asking that question. Not many, but some might be. And to answer that question, I really don't want to change over to disc, but it's easier to get parts for the disc brakes. It really is. It's actually ridiculously easy to get the parts for disc brakes, except for the spindles. That's one of those parts that's kind of hard to get. But I did learn something. I had to call the right guy and everything. And basically, you can get, if you get a set of spindles for the 1970 to 1973 Mustang or Mercury Cougar, it'll bolt right on to Project Spirit, onto the Mavericks. They're pretty much identical. The only thing that might have to change is the outer tie rod end. There was a slight difference. The guy who was explaining to me, he used to go into old junkyards and would take the uh, spindles for 5 lug Mavericks And for disc brakes, he would yank those off and slap them onto Mustangs, and all he had to do was change the outer tie rod end. Everything else was pretty much identical. Surprise, surprise. Which again proves my point that today Project Spirit is more Mustang than Mustang. You know, um, so we've done the again we did the walk around and everything, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of her parts because these are going to be parts that are included. So let me scoot the chair back a little bit. The office is an absolute disaster, and I do apologize. But hey, it's my office. I do what I want. All right, let's start here with, I believe, yes, the calipers. The calipers. Now, some of you might be asking some questions. Don't panic. Don't panic. Um, these are Project Spirit's new calipers that we'll be installing with this front disc brake conversion. Okay, and with this front disc brake conversion, one of the things that need to be talked about is this is a single piston. Right underneath this tape is the piston. Now, the reason why the tape is on here is because we are planning on painting these so they shine through the wheels, and we're going to be painting these Ford blue. Particular vital parts on Project Spirit, we do in Ford blue or silver, depending on the situation. Now, some of you might be saying, well, why don't you go to red? Go to red. I don't want to go red. The reason why I don't want to go red is simply because if we went to the red, it would, well, number one, everybody does red. And number two, Ford blue just seems to really work well on her whole paint scheme. So it just makes sense to me to go ahead and go over to Ford blue on these. But if you will, they're heavy, but they're not quite as big as like you would see on like Willwood or Brembo brakes. These are like, again, these are the single piston. And why would I want to go when there's tons of aftermarket kits like from Willwood or Brembo that you could put Brembo, I should say, that you could put on a car like Project Spirit? Why won't I do that? And the reason being is simply because, yes, getting the whole kit like that is somewhat economical. You're going to pay, actually, all figures minus the spindles, I'm still going to spend about $100 less doing it this way than I would, doing it from an aftermarket kit. And one of the things that no one talks about in this is the fact that when you do a kit like that, what happens when the brakes start wearing out and you have to replace those brake pads? No one talks about that. No one talks about that at all. So it made sense that the more affordable way and the more economical way is to go ahead and go with the original style, parts. And this is licensed by Ford, pretty nifty, pretty nifty. And, with the Ford blue on there, we won't have to worry about these rusting. Okay. Again, attention to detail, folks. You hear me talk about this all the time here on the Prince Magnum channel, but that's her caliper. Well, one of them. To my knowledge, these are pretty universal. So there we have that. Okay. So, where the hell did I put that box? Oh, it's right there. Right there. Okay. So that takes care of that. Again, these are, these are what's going on there. And it has a small hardware kit to help me get everything bolted in place. So that takes care of that. All right, let's take a look at some other stuff that's going on to Project Spirit. Right in here, okay, real quick. Let's talk about some things that a lot of people don't really talk about with, you know, when you're doing a conversion like this. The pressure from her drum brakes are different, you know, coming from the master cylinder down. So one of the things that had to change was the rubber lines. That's going to have to change. Again, got this through AutoZone. These are high pressure lines for the disc brakes. And they'll handle the pressure much better than what the ones that are on there now. Now, the ones that are on there now, they've been replaced a while back, but they won't withstand the amount of pressure that the master cylinder for the disc brakes, because that has to put out a lot more. Now, I already hear some of you saying, Prince Magnum, what's the difference? There's a big difference, okay? And this is one of the reasons why I like drum brakes. The pressure from to disc brakes has to be a great deal more. Think about it as a surface area thing. The disc brakes have got an area like that big. So when you push down on the brakes, you're clamping down an area, we'll say about the size of my hands, onto a disc, okay? Like that. And when it squeezes down, that's all your surface area. That's all you got. Like a bicycle, almost. It's actually a good way to put it, like bicycle tires. With the drum brakes, the shoes are sitting inside, and when you press down on the brakes, it forces the cylinder to push outward and expand against the inside of that drum, which is why a lot of your old hot rodders swear that they're better, okay? Because there's more surface area. Now, there is a downfall. The downfall is that because of that surface area being pushed out like that, the problem is that they heat up faster. So when you're going down the road and you have to start making kind of a hard stop, because nobody knows how to drive today, when you start to make that hard stop, it'll basically, one side will heat up and it'll slip a little bit while the other side is grabbing. So you have to adjust the wheel one way or the other. So most people don't talk about that, but that is a thing. And my cigar won't stay lit. Kind of an ongoing theme here on the Prince Magnum channel. All right. Let's go ahead and move a couple things. And let's take a look at her master cylinder. Now, the master cylinder here puts out more pressure than the one that's on there now. Which all the systems that are on Project Spirit will not hold up. So this is one of the reasons why you have to pretty much do it all at once. Now, we have already painted, you guys haven't got to see this yet. We have already painted her master cylinder. Now, to bolt right up to the wall. I could have gotten a brake booster and a master cylinder that would bolt onto said brake booster and would allow for power brakes. I decided against that. The reason being is, number one, she doesn't need it, okay? I really don't need power brakes. I just push down harder, okay? Honestly, just push down harder. You know, quit being a sissy, you know? That's just me being playful. But really, I mean, you just push down harder, that's it. Now, it is funny because going from manual brakes to power brakes in Project Lena, I have been known to accidentally brake check us, okay? So there is her master cylinder all painted up. Now, remember, folks, these come in a plain Jane steel. You have to paint them. That's what we've done. So when we put everything together, we'll bleed everything out. You know, I'll go over to my buddy T-Bone and we'll jack her up. We'll take everything off. We'll hook everything up. Everything will be bolted in place. And then this will be filled up with, I'm going to probably see if about putting a better brake fluid in there than your standard DOT2. It would probably be something like a DOT 5 point something, or I think there's a 5.1 that I can go with. even if you get a little bit of the DOT3 in it, it won't hurt anything. And the reason why we're going to be going to a better is because Missouri gets very hot, and overall, I think it'll be a better, a better way. I mean, yeah, I'm going to pay a little bit more, but it'll be an upgrade as far as going, you know, uh, the regular brake fluid. I just got to check and see, make sure that it'll work in a system like that. If it won't work, then we're just going to go ahead and stay with the old DOT3. But I believe it will work. I can upgrade to that, even with these older parts. Now, again, most people wouldn't even think about this. Right here, um, this little boot here, I'll go ahead and take it off and show you all. But this little boot here just more or less fits on the back of this, and kind of keeps moisture from getting down into the car itself. And to go along with that, this connects right in to her brake pedal. So all this will go like kind of like that, and then when it pushes in, it'll push the fluid out through here, these little doodads, down through the brake lines to the brakes, forcing them to squeeze and locking up those brakes. It's pretty nifty if you like all this technical stuff. Again, very important. And of course, it comes with some stuff to bleed it, to bleed the master cylinder. And also, again, here, hardware kit from AutoZone, same places I've already mentioned. Okay, and again, the Ford Blue under the hood. You all should be familiar with that by now. Again, I don't do black parts on my car. I do blue and silver. Why not black parts? I mean, except for like the hoses and stuff. Why am I so focused on? A couple reasons. One, when people pop the hood and they look and they see that blue and everything, it's uniform. It looks good. It's brighter. Okay, and it draws people's attention. The other reason is because black parts hold heat. So if you've got a new vehicle and you have the opportunity to paint something, paint it a reflective color. You'll thank me later for taking that strong suggestion. Cut down on the heat in your engine bay. Your engine will thank you too. Okay? So there you go. Project Spirits. Brand new. Master cylinder. Okay? Now, because this is all about Project Spirit and everything, let's go ahead and talk about something that was given to me a little while back. You don't see something like this very often. How would we have put oil in Project Spirit at one time? Check that out. 30 weight Valvoline non-detergent motor oil in its original can. And it's still, there's oil in this. It's never been opened. If you go further back, you'll actually find that these cans are actually made of metal. This is kind of made of there's like aluminum inside there, and that kind of keeps the oil from seeping out through the cardboard, and it still has a kind of a metal top. What you would do is you would take like this little device, almost like a little funnel, and clunk, and then you would put it in. Well, that's how she would have gotten oil in the old days. A couple times I've thought about actually opening this and putting this in Project Spirit to see how she ran. But another part of me doesn't want to do that because she might not know what to do. And the other reason is that who can say they've got some of this laying around? It's still in its, it's one of those things. A collector might want this, okay? Hang on to stuff like this, guys. And this was given to me by a guy while I was doing community service down in at St. Joe Park, just outside of Park Hills in Leadington. Okay, so let's see. I'm taking a look at some of Project Spirit's stuff. Oh. Wheel bearings. She'll need those. We'll put in brand new wheel bearings. We'll pack them up real good with grease and everything like that. All right, right over here is Project Spirit's brand new brake pads. Notice I said brake pads and not her brake shoes. They're a little bit different. Brake shoes are for, don't get them confused. Okay, and here we go. Metallics. Basically, they'll go inside, and when you squeeze down, these are what squeezes on those caliper, well, squeezes on the rotor to stop the vehicle. And they're pretty, I mean, again, there's some heft to these. That's how we did the old cars back in the day. Everything was heavy, you know. And if you go further back, I've actually seen a drum brake. Believe it or not, I've actually seen a drum brake for a 1948 Chevy. And I wish I'd have kept that sucker, but my dad laid claim to it. And then he took it to a scrapyard. I wouldn't have. I'd have hung on to that. That's just worth hanging on to, you know. So, like I said, we pretty well got everything. I mean, we might need a bolt or two, but hey, you know, that's expected. Come on. Here, we'll put that right back up here. And we're going to have to change that thermostat again, so got another gasket. You know, and you'll find that I have a lot of parts ready to go for Project Spirit, but there might be one or two things holding us up. You know, some of you might be wondering, Prince Magnum, you ever going to put tunes in there? And I've showed this before, but here's my AM/FM digital media receiver with Bluetooth. Not going to CDs. And I know some of you are probably wondering, well, you're not going to track down an old A-track? Yeah, I could. But, you know, we're going to have to face facts. Project Spirit does need an occasional update every now and again. So that's one of her updates. So, and right over here behind me, we even have some speakers. Just a little bit of everything that's going into the old girl. I'm hoping that you all can, you know, I'm probably just going to have to make an edited video when we go to do the new air cleaner lid. What we'll be doing is her original air cleaner lid. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is that I want to try to get more air to her. So what I'll actually do is I'll probably, you know, trace around the air filter as it is, but do it a certain way where it'll kind of, you know, make it smaller, and then what'll happen is it'll open it up like that much, allowing, you know, more air to hit the surface of it, increase the gas mileage, increase the power. And when you increase the gas mileage and power like that, you increase the longevity of your engine, and your engine doesn't have to work as hard to do the same job it was before, if you will. So what was once 85 horses might be, we'll say 95, you know. Who knows? And that's just, you know, just common sense. Just, you know, kind of like the guys that take like the Toyota Supra, and they figure out ways to force more air in than ever before, okay? And then they're getting like 1,000 horses out of it. And we're not getting that much out of the old girl, but, you know, you can get more by making a change like that. So that, you know, do I need a radio in there? That'd be nice when I'm cruising with Princess Faye. Let's see. Doggone, I think we pretty well went over the parts that I really have. Oh, the speakers were given to me. Just regular old speakers. Nothing special, nothing fancy. It'd just be nice to have tunes in there. Oh, I showed this in a video a little while back, but I'll show them again to make it easier on the old girl. On her alternator, LED headlights. Yay, LED headlights. Um, but these are specifically for show, which I'm going to have to take these over to a shop and have this professionally done. But if you will look, if you can see the bulbs right around here on the outer edge, these will light up a nice blue that will match her paint. Pretty much any, you know, do I need something like that? Well, no, not really. But do I want something like that? Yes. Um, it's one of those things that, I mean, honestly, I mean, who wouldn't? You know, it's gonna dress her up, make her look nicer. Give her that feel that says, you know, I'm more than just an old car. And the LED light itself, what that will do is obviously what it will do is it'll these take less energy than the old halogens. And what we will do is with the old halogens, the problem is that they take a lot of energy, and that's drawing from the engine. So if I can cut down on some of that, that means that, if you will, in a roundabout way, it takes stress off the alternator, and when you take stress off the alternator, more of that energy can go to the engine, or just cut down on the wear and tear. To me, that just is more logical than replacing an alternator every time you turn around, because today's parts just don't last like the old stuff did. Which, by the way, talking about alternators, I still have Project Spirit's original alternator. It still works, kind of, sort of, barely, but it does work. What we will do is actually take it apart eventually and rebuild it. The reason why rebuild it? Why not? Why not? Even if I never use it, but I rebuild it, then I've got it in, I've got it ready to go. Why not rebuild instead of buying brand new? That just makes sense to me. Now, I pretty well showed you, went through a lot of the parts and everything. Let's talk about what to expect on Project Spirit. Real quick, Princess Faye and I are talking about, once the front disc brake conversion is done, once a couple other little things are taken care of, we want to take Project Spirit and Project Lena over to the drag strip and run them. We're only going to do an eighth mile, but we're going to run them and see how the two girls do. I can pretty well tell you Project Lena is probably going to have the serious track advantage, um, because of the fact that uh, on the she's front wheel drive, and if anybody knows anything, it has something to do with weight distribution. Um, she's going to have the better launch, and in an eighth mile, um, that's not enough time for Project Spirit to really catch up. I mean, as far as numbers go, they're really not that much different. They're not much further apart, really. Um, I think if I remember correctly, Project Lean is running in 125, and with the modifications with Project Spirit, if you were to twist my arm and ask me to guess, yeah, I can do that. If you were to ask me to guess, Project Spirit would um, probably be pushing about 190. Well, I'm not 180. 90, about 90 horses, because she was rated from the factory at 80, like 85 horses, which really isn't that much. But, and at 90, I mean, yeah, Project Lean is going to have the distinct advantage. Uh, Project Spirit's old inline, I will tell you, has more pulling power that's not on paper. The inlines had an amazing ability of generating a lot of bottom end torque, and great. They're great in a truck. Ask anybody. There's a lot of people that swear up and down that the inlines are the best you can put in an old Ford pickup. So go figure. Um, So again, if no one's really poking on right now. I had one on a moment ago. Sometimes my live streams go extremely well. Sometimes they don't. It just kind of happens that way. And I intended to do a better walk around, and we're gonna do that probably tomorrow. Um, I'll probably have to get up bright and early, and we might end up having to do two live streams tomorrow, but that's okay. I expected as much. Real quick, before I've got a funny feeling Princess Faye will probably be calling soon. Let's go ahead and start winding this down. Um, Again, Project Spirit and Project Lena will have an 8th mile drag race, and I pretty well, I'll say it this way: Project Spirit is handicapped in some ways, comparing her to Project Lena. But one of the things that I will say that does give an advantage is I have a lot more experience in racing than Princess Faye, who will be behind the wheel of her own car. So I know there's some people who can't wait to see that. New versus old. Mild customization between the two vehicles, stuff like that. And I pretty well know where it's going to be interesting. If Princess Faye does what she's supposed to do on the track, Project Spirit will probably lose, but that's okay. We expect Project Spirit. She was not really meant for what we're going to be doing with her, but we're going to do it anyways. All right. So real quick, um, it seems like this is going to be a lot of play. People are going to be hitting the playback and everything, which is fine, which is just fine by me. Um, check the playback and, be sure to smash the like button. If you're not subscribed, now is always a good time. Obviously, with stuff like this getting ready to come up, this is a great opportunity for you to see that what it takes to make these cars continue to run. Whatever it takes, folks, whatever it takes to keep these cars on the road, which is exactly what we do here on the Prince Magnum channel. Uh, we try our best to keep them on the road. Don't crush them, fix them, okay? Unless you got a vehicle after 2006, good luck to you. Vaya con Dios. um, let's see. That pretty well covers that. So definitely, if you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to subscribe to the Prince Magnum channel and be sure to hit the bell icon. You'll be notified every time we do a live stream or I upload a video, which I need to get over there. I've got a ton of them to upload. Um, Most likely after Princess Faye goes to work tomorrow, I'll be putting the final touches on the mini movie. Most of it's just narration. I've got everything all set up, the opening, and some points in between. So I just got to narrate what is actually happening uh, in the main part of the movie. If you're not sure what that movie is about, I'll just kind of tell you. If you live in Washington, Missouri, are you safe? Is the police department there capable of doing their jobs? And are they clean, if you catch my meaning? Remember, the Prince Magnum channel we are fans of law enforcement. The only problem that we have is when there's bad police officers, and the debate is the Washington PD uh, are they full of good police officers? And I'll answer that question in a way that they will not be able to dispute. Um, to go along with this, the Prince Magnum channel will be again back on the offensive of removing the current prosecutor from current office here in St. Francis County, because any prosecutor that would force a good police officer out is not one that you want around. Um, you know, that's protecting the bad and getting rid of the good, and we can't have that. We need good police officers, and times have changed. Not all the time. We've heard a lot how we'll just leave it that there are things that are happening and the news is not covering it. And why aren't they covering it? Because they're told not to by politicians. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Okay. Now, now that we have covered that, uh, see, told you there's a lot going on here on the Prince Magnum channel. Um, we're going to try to get to a surviving romance soon, and that pretty well covers current events. Also, Wednesday, the Prince Magnum channel will be in Jackson, Missouri. I know Project Spirit will be in attendance at that car show for the 4th of July, which you can hear the bangs and booms probably in the background. People are already setting off fireworks and having a good time. The Prince Magnum channel will be there. I don't know if Project Lena will be there, but I know Project Spirit will definitely be in attendance that day. So, if you'd like to be there and to see Project Spirit and to enjoy being part of the festivities, be there or be square. Also, the Prince Magnum channel is looking at going to Laz's Barn Grill again on Friday this coming week. We will be there. I will be on stage again singing karaoke. You've seen some of the videos that went up. We're going to talk about that possibly sometime here pretty soon. Why I continue to do that and not just in contest. So we're gonna talk about that. Um, so if you want to see me, Prince Magnum, on stage singing Kiss songs, Neil Diamond, whatever, be at Lazarus Bar and Grill this next week on Friday, and that is, hang on here. And as I'm making this video, it's, well, you can see the date marked on it. So be there or be square. And we usually try to go out there every Friday. Also, we're possibly talking about going out there on this coming Tuesday. We're also talking about being out there and supporting Party Pro and Lazarus Bar and Grill Tuesday night as well. But that's not set in stone. Actually, we won't be able to do that. See what I mean by live streams? It forces me to be honest. We won't be able to do that because I got to go into work that night. And so I could be the next day. Princess Faye is going to try to run me ragged. No, we can't do that. But we'll definitely be out there Friday. So, again, be there or be square. All right. As usual. Oh, well, we have someone who just popped on. Wow. Okay. Real quick. We did a walk around of Project Spirit. We just went through and did looked at all of her parts for the front disc brake conversion. The only thing that we need is a set of spindles, which I'll be ordering off for the brand new ones as soon as I get paid again. So we just did all of that, and I even got to show off the pretty blue paint job on her master cylinder. So unfortunately, I mean, I could go through that again, but it'd almost be redundant. And we went through, looking at some of the other various parts that we have just yet to get slapped on. But I know that we're going to be incorporating a special guest when we do a lot of these parts. An old friend of mine from high school named T-Bone, who I'll just tell you, back in the old days when I was still a street racer, and back in the day, and there's a whole video about it here on the Prince Magnum channel. That and there it I can't see who it is that's on here watching the live stream right now, but I can tell you that I used to street race a 1978 Camaro that I happily called Blue Thunder. Had a 400 cubic inch small block Chevy under the hood. Well, there you go. And a 3-speed automatic 350 turbo. And T-Bone used to race trucks, but him and I were 2 of 4 that were the ones to beat back in the late 90s in our hometown. And it It was definitely a good time. So I know he's gonna be helping me with doing the front disc brake conversion, and so you all will get to see T-Bone for the first time here on the Prince Magnum channel. Brother, I'm gonna make you, we're gonna make you famous. He's the one that has the Chevy truck that, well, I'm sorry, the GMC, uh, the GMC Blazer that had the problems, and awesome guy, love him to pieces, and I'd go to hell and back for him. He's a good guy, a good friend of mine. He's the older brother I never had. Just like Bert of Bert TV. Um, um, in a way, the Prince Magnum channel when it comes to brothers here on the Prince Magnum channel, we have a lot of black sheeps. Black sheep, for those grammar Nazis out there. So again, you all get to see T-Bone in action too. Amazing, he does amazing stuff with front ends, and I've actually worked on his truck a little bit too. So, all right, all right, let's go ahead and wind this down, unless someone else pops on here and has a question or two. Um, all right, as usual. We already talked about. Be sure to check me out on Patreon. We went through the stuff for the giveaway, and that sort of thing. Uh, Definitely, if you don't have to actually become uh, a monthly person. Patreon does allow you to donate $1 at a time when you can. So if you can, drop $1 in there, because whoever drops the most money in there um, will there's a giveaway. Okay, right now no one has donated, so even if you donated $1 between now and August the 7th, there's an excellent chance you probably won a pretty big, decent giveaway. And it's just stuff that I've amassed over the course of going to car shows, and just things that I picked up here and there. I might even include a shift knob that was actually used in Project Spirit. Which one? I'm not going to tell. All right. So there is a pocket-sized big book. We talked about that already. So all that other stuff. So there you have that. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or Twitter Face. That's a joke. That's a joke. Um, I don't think there's a Twitter Face. Anyhow, let's see. All right. And as always, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is. Just do something with yourself. You see what I got going on? If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. Do something special with them. Okay? And as always, for all of you out there, no one out there has told you that they love you. Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.